Ho ho ho! What up? I'm Santa, by the way, when he was young and jacked, you know. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. This video is something that I thought I would do, you know, since it's winter and this is soon Christmas, giving you a few ideas to, well, get gifts for your loved ones that are going to the gym. When I mean get gifts, of course, I mean, you know, sending them to his Santa Claus so that he can do what he must, do what he does the best, which is of course to deliver gifts to everyone who's been nice and squat AV all year. So, shall we? The first gift ideas that I have for you are books, and not any kind of books. These are from French authors, Michael Degandil and Frédéric Delavier. These books have revolutionized the whole fitness world, and currently all the experts that you could see on Instagram or YouTube that are talking about biomechanics, that are talking about anatomy and fine-tuning exercise and routine in regard to your own body structure. You know, if you have long limb, short limb, if you have short muscle, long muscle, are thanks to these books. So these books are basically somewhat of your Bible. So I have a French edition, of course, but they have been translated in more than 25 languages. I have the second and the third one. The first one is actually for like total beginners that do not know anything about training at all. Like it gets you from 0 to 100 slowly but surely with everything that you need to know. These books, if I was to be sent back in time to start over, these would be the books I would be buying immediately. Most of my knowledge come from these books and my experience, and if you read these 3 books, I have 2, but as I said, first one is for beginners. If you read these 3 books, you will basically know more than most PT do after graduating in most countries, and I am very serious about it, since I know quite a lot about French and others European certification program to become PT. I did a double certification from USA, and these books are packed with information. I do believe that anyone that is serious about training should read them, should own them, and whenever you have a question, whenever you're not sure about something, well, you read them again. And if you're like me, you're not a beginner at all, and or at least you started training and you already know most of the things that you need to know to begin properly, this book, this one, which is called Strength Workout, the Strength Anatomy Workout, I believe in English, is basically the one that will be an overall thing regarding every kind of injury you can develop, regarding the big basis of the theory regarding the body anatomy and what you're supposed to do with your workout. Like for example, if you have long arm, how you're supposed to bench compared to someone who has shorter arm, longer clavicle, shorter clavicle, thick or thin rib cage, so on and so forth. Everything is in that one, and this is actually the first thing that I recommend you all, to read these books and to own them. Now, if you're someone who is doing strength training but do not necessarily is doing bodybuilding, there are other books that you will see at the screen right now that I can propose to you. There is one who is for athletes, general athletes, you know, if you're doing swimming, tennis, soccer, football. There is one who is for combat sport athlete, which I love and I own also. And there is also a special book that I really love, which is specialized to have the biggest arm and forearm as possible, and I really love it. Everything is put through, there is everything that you need in all of these books, and these athletes, these authors are pure gem, and I'm really proud to know that they are actually French. The second gift idea that I have for you are strength belt. So this is an iconic bodybuilding item, and a lot of strength athletes are using it, especially in powerlifting and weightlifting, but also in strongman. And the reason is simple. These things are the best tool to have to mitigate low back fatigue, core fatigue, to support performance, to help with your recovery, especially of the spine, the low back spine, and also to increase slightly your training performance. So why do I have two? Simple. Let's start with this one. This one is a pretty cheap, simple, normal one that is usable in weightlifting and bodybuilding. It's not that thick. It is about 4 inches or 10 centimeters wide behind and slightly less in front. I think it's 7 centimeters. And it is actually a thin one. So to support someone that is not doing extra heavy weight, it is good. It is not that expensive. It is a mix of leather and reconstituted leather. It can be pretty fancy, and yeah, nothing much to say about it. Now, this belt, if you start to use very heavy weight, so 3 plate and above on squat and 4 plate and above on deadlift, it won't be enough. It won't be sturdy and thick and stable enough for you to support performance. So it's more like when you're a beginner or when you're doing pretty light workout or machine or anything that is not really required and intense on your lower back. And that's where this one comes in. So it is much more expensive, at least like 4 or 5 times higher than this one, but this is made of one straight slab of leather. It is much more thick, as you can see, but it is exactly the same size and dimensions as this one. This is 4 inches or 10 centimeters here, maybe a bit more, maybe 11 centimeters, and here again 7 centimeters. So the first one, you can have it on any kind of generic website. This one is from Elite FTS. It is a P2 premium bodybuilding belt, and it is recommended for bodybuilders that goes really heavy, which is my case, and for strength athletes that aren't very big, like for example females and short men. I have a 28-29 inches waist, so this is perfect for me because a normal strength belt that strongmen and powerlifters use would be much for me. I tried once and it would just hurt my pelvic bone on the side and my ribs, but I had no core or support or anything. So this kind of belts are really great, but it is kind of a pricey gift. So you know, that's why I showed you the two. Third item, and I'm getting hot actually. Okay, so these are lifting straps. So when you're training, you will have to grip weights. It will be on a bar, it will be on dumbbell, it can be you doing pull-ups or suspending yourself and grabbing a bar to hold yourself in position, and grip will be failing at some point, especially on leg and back movement. It is actually normal to have your grip limiting you because, well, the muscle of your forearms are not designed to be as powerful and as strong as the one in your legs, your lower body and your back, which are of course really large, really powerful muscle. So strength athletes have been using lifting straps for a few decades now to actually limit the grip fatigue and allow yourself to lift more heavy and for more sets and volume with that. So the principle is simple. You go like this, you wrap it on a barbell or a dumbbell, and you're not limited anymore by your grip because it will be held by your wrist actually. So it will be pulling at the same time right there. And I mean, if you are actually serious and dedicated to your training, you will need them at some point, at least for your deadlift. So if you know someone that would benefit from lifting straps, I do recommend you get them. These ones are, in my opinion, the best one. This is Ironman. It is a Canadian brand. These are the one that strongmen, the world's strongest men, use. So the strongest of the strongmen are using these to flip cars and pull half ton and so on and so forth. So I'm really happy about them. They are a few years old, as you can see, and you know, barely damaged. So yeah, buy some. Fourth items, bands. So it might seem very simple and maybe an overstatement. Bands are key in your training, especially health and longevity wise. Let me explain. To have the best kind of warm-up, bands are one of the staple solutions that you can use to warm up your shoulder, especially the rotator cuff, your elbow, even your wrist. If you're doing leg exercise, bands are very good, for example on a leg press machine or leg extension, to modify or support the resistance curve, to have basically more bang for your buck and more gains with lesser weight or with a more safer approach. You can also use them on most pressing exercise. You can use them to have a home workout if you have no material and you're stuck at home, like in a certain year we will not name. Yeah, bands are great for so many options. You can basically do everything and anything with it. And yeah, I do recommend you to have at least one pack of bands. So it most often comes with 4 bands, with a little one, a monster mini, a medium one, and then a monster medium or a large medium. I don't think everyone uses the same terminology, but basically, yeah, use bands in your training. They will be key for your success, for your warm-up, for you to avoid being injured. And yeah, even if it looks goofy sometimes, these are stable. 4th item, fat grips. So these things are fucking awesome. So basically what you're doing is putting this thing and you wrap it above a barbell or dumbbell or bar, and it will thicken the grip. And for someone like me who has big hand, the benefits are multiplied. First thing, obviously, is that because it is a thicker grip, you will have much more demand on your forearm muscle, so you will develop a lot more grip, strength and endurance. But also just the fact of squeezing more tightly will make you able to recruit more fibers of the whole arm muscle and strengthen at the same time the tendons. So if you have weaker arm, if you have a weak point around your arm area that you would like to bring up, especially the biceps and or forearms, these things will be great. But it doesn't stop dead, because for your triceps training, when you're doing triceps isolation, for example, the thinner the bar, the more damage and stress you will put through your whole kinetic chain, so your wrist, your elbow and your shoulder. Most of the time, the link that give out first is the elbow, because it is actually the joint that is working when you're doing tricep extension. You using fat grip will allow you to have more of a wrapping grip like this, except instead of having something like this and really clench like this. So you can go like this, you can go like this, you can go slightly more like this, doesn't matter. It will feel much more distributed around the whole area. You will have way less stress on the elbow, and you will be able to go far further in your set regarding your triceps. And at the same time, it will force you to develop some kind of isometric strength in the wrist, so yet again a boost for your wrist flexor gains. These come in different size. This is the original normal one. There are thinner ones that exist for people that have thinner hand or do not necessarily want to have like a high grip demand, and it is really great comfort wise to have just a slightly wider grip and to be more stacked under the weight, especially if you're doing presses. It is also really good when you're doing dips, for example, especially weighted dips, and that you're actually crushing your palm under your own weight and maybe added weight. When the bar is thin, it is horrible. With that, problem fixed. But there are also thicker ones. These are called the Fat Grips Extreme. This is pure this is pure grip training. I mean, when you're doing forearm isolation, if you are in that kind of thing, this will be your bread and butter. And if at some point, some way, somehow you're having some kind of elbow problem, and yet again you have big hands, such as me, pretty big hands, this thing on any triceps isolation will save you. You will be able to keep training without hurting more yourself. And even though I recommend, if something is hurting, to decrease volume and be more mindful with your exercise selection, this will allow you to have more room for error and more room to maintain some muscle activity without straining too much on your joint. So yeah, I got these two pairs, and I highly recommend them if you are really serious about either arm hypertrophy and or just joint integrity and longevity, wrist and elbow wise. Next item will be the NeckFlex. So this is a sponsor of mine. I've been using one since about 2 years now. No, a bit more than 2 years, 2 years and a half. I have nothing but good things to say about it. This is basically a device, a neck harness that is, just like the name is implying, allowing you to train your neck and a bit of the upper back region. The reason why I recommend you to get some is because neck training is actually useful for anyone. Whatever if you're sedentary, whatever if you are a strength sport athlete, a combat sport athlete, a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, even a weightlifter, crossfitter too, having a stronger neck will make it, of course, stronger, and it will link better with much more tension in relative full body tension that you're creating, for example, when you're bracing on the squat or on the deadlift. And it will allow you to be more stable around the cervical region, and of course by domino effect the whole spine can potentially be even more stable. So a stronger neck is also associated with strength. When you see a big guy and he has a pencil neck, something is weird, you know, about his appearance. When you see a guy with, like, at least in his clothes he's looking normal, but he has a huge tree trunk like neck, you're like, oh, that guy must be, you know, like you have some kind of wow factor that comes with that. So having a strong neck is both good looking, if it's really big it's also intimidating and very manly looking, as we say, but it is also helping you to get stronger on many lifts, especially basic compounds lift where you're supposed to be bracing and having everything tight. And if you are doing any kind of sport where there are contact and shock and hit on the head or cervical region, it will make you more injury proof. So this is actually a lot of you that would be watching this video, so getting a NeckFlex will help you with that. I have the band that is attached to it right now, but there is also a chain with this model. There are 3 different models. This is the MMB Pro one, and I really like it. So if you want a bigger, stronger neck, which is also pain-free and more resilient, get one. The next gift idea that I have for you is knee sleeves and of course elbow sleeves. So the use of it is simple. You put it around a joint like this. It's like something you put just like a glove. And on this one, for example, you have a little checkpoint. When the cross is around the joint here, you have it right at the perfect spot. These things are, I think, one of the most underrated piece of equipment in regard to longevity and joint pain and health management. Reason is simple. First, you have a little compression, so it is easier for everything to be at its spot and not have some rubbing inside. For example, like the long head of a biceps tendon that can rub just inside his compartment right there, and this rubbing can create a swollen tissue build-up and then inflammation, and then you have some weird tear in the shoulder and you don't really know what happened. So you can have exactly the same thing happening around your elbow. This will of course prevent it from happening. Same thing with your knee. Second thing is that it will keep your joint warm. This is winter right now. It's going to be more and more cold, and the atmosphere will be much more wet. There will be much more humidity in the air. All these things are pretty harsh joint-wise. You can ask anyone with arthritis or old people that broke some bones. They feel it inside their body. You know, it's the cold that penetrates you. With these things, while you're training, or at least maybe when you're warming up, you will have much less discomfort in your joint, so you will be much more confident and of course comfortable to push through and to actually train hard, which is, I think, why you are training in the first place. You want to train hard, you want to have results. So being limited by some kind of tendinitis, some kind of joint pain, well, it's not that comfortable. So yeah. And the last thing, it is that there is a slight performance boost, even with simple one, because there are several types. There is the neoprene simple pli, as we say, but then there is double and triple pli. So this means that it is even more elastic, you know. So there is much more rebound when you are going at the bottom of a rep and then you're coming up. So for example, and I'm going down like this and I'm flexing my elbow, for example, on the bench press, when I come up, this added cushion right there will of course protect the joint, but it will also give me some more meat to rebound, you know, just like if I had a second biceps on top of my biceps. And even with simple ones, there is a slight performance boost. With this one, I would say you might just gain 1 rep and the overall set will feel a bit more easier, but it's still there, you know, so it's not cheating, it's just you protecting your joint and having a slight boost at the bottom of a really deep range of motion, for example on full ATG squats and really deep dips, for example, or I don't know, close grip presses on the bench press, for example, anyway. So really good, and I think that if you know someone who is having some joint pain and still want to train hard, especially powerlifters that have to strain the same kind of movement, and weightlifters too, or if that you have a friend who is training in a gym, is more like into bodybuilding or general strength stuff, but he's pretty strong and he's sometimes complaining about oh, you know, my elbow is tweaking me on the shoulder press, I feel my knee when I'm doing squats and so on and so forth. Well, these things will help him or her, and I think it will make him or her very happy. I put them, you know, in a little box and they got dust for quite a few years. But when I started to have knee problem, because I had a double tendinitis on both knee, and I also had some problem with this elbow and this wrist, this kind of support items can be very valuable in your arsenal to keep training hard and to heal at the same time without aggravating anything. So yeah, the 9th idea that I have for you as a gift for Christmas is another sponsor, which is JawLiner. So this device, this is chewing gum and this is some gum that you have to chew. These devices are made for training the jaw, which might seem pretty weird and even like some kind of scam, yet it is true. There are more than 300 muscles in your face, and you can train all of them just by doing normal actions such as chewing. Chewing will also develop the jawline. It will make you have a more sharper jawline and a more square jaw, and a visually less fat, less bloated face. So along with you know, having a clean diet, having clean skin, of course, these things can really help you just enhance your overall look. And just like for neck, actually, it's kind of a looks maxing philosophy where you are enhancing everything that you already have. And in that case, training your jaw will be very, very useful for you. I haven't done any kind of video yet right now on the subject, but I have written about it on my website, so I'll be putting link in the description for you. You can just read. You will read about jaw training and you will read about my honest review of JawLiner and why, of course, it is one of my sponsors. So if you want to get one, I have a code, it will be in the description, and yeah, get some. Last but not least, last item, these are like this. These are gravity boots. So you may be wondering, what is that? It is something that you will put around your ankle and it will allow you to actually suspend yourself, hang out, head upside down. I will be making a full video about how decompression can be very useful health-wise and also recovery-wise. The key points that you have to remind yourself is that first, it is paramount to have a good spinal recovery, especially your intervertebral disc. It can enhance this recovery but also decrease heavily the pain you feel after training heavily some movements that are squashing a bit the lower back, and it will decrease your injury risk in that region. This is the first thing. The second thing is that getting upside down will make the return of the blood flow and the lymph in the lower body limbs much easier to go back into the torso. So there is a true kind of detox and circulation boost effect along with that, and it's pretty relaxing actually. As I said, I will go in much more detail about it, but if you know someone, again, who is doing gym training and who is complaining about back pain, or someone that is pretty mature age-wise and has had a few back injuries, I would recommend this person to use these and to get used to have the head upside down to actually really stretch deeply the back. Of course, a more gentler method would just be to use the band lifting straps that I talked about in the beginning of this video, and to just, you know, take a wide grip, wrap them and just be like Jesus, you know, such as this, so the gravity will pull down and decompress the spine. But being upside down, there is the circulation boost effect because all the blood will be coming back up actually in your torso after a heavy leg day, for example, where your legs are really pumped. And either after a long day when you're standing up the whole day, or just that you feel your back is a bit compressed, you do just 3 to 5 minutes of this and then you're done. And it's really, really relieving. So yeah, you can get some, and that will be it for this video. I hope you liked it. I really hope I gave you good ideas for this Christmas and maybe, I don't know, anniversary, birthday, surprises, gift. Don't overstress about it, you know, just find something, and it's the intentions that matter, not the thing itself. So yeah, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like the video. If you have other ideas and you would like to give your opinion about it, you can do it in the comments. Follow me for more video, and I'll see you very soon, and you can watch another video on the link that will be on this side, I think. Take care, bye, Merry Christmas.